And good morning. It is the day before New Year's, and well, here we are. And today's quandary, today's question is to study or not to study. As far as, you know, the first has been about 6 months now, about 6.5 months of doing my art here and taking it seriously for the first time. And you know, for the first 3 months I was listening to many lectures about different types of art, things I didn't know anything about. Whoops, my bag again is falling, of course. And watching many artists paint, talk about their painting. And I especially like, in fact, I had listened to lectures while watching time-lapse paintings, you know, people painting very quickly. And it got to a point after about 3 months of really putting it to it. Gotta fix my bag, of course. Need a new bag. That I realized that you gotta find your own way. You know, it's certainly a tremendous thing to be able to look at what people have done in the past and their techniques and all the different styles, but that's really what it comes down to, I think, is that any person who's an artist that, you know, would be popular name that, you know, it might go to a museum and might see their artwork, and if you study up on it, you see that they found their thing, something that, you know, their way, something that just clicked into their mind as to, you know, the way they do it. And I know I'm running on a little bit about that, but there's no specific exacts that I'm familiar with. Everyone is really just to their own personality. Any dot that any person makes is, you know, cannot be repeated exactly, I believe. So I'm looking yesterday. I'm going back into my little computer here and I'm checking out different artists and looking at their paint. Impressionist. I was never really too familiar with what that was. Impressionism, I guess, is trying to capture a moment of people in a market, or in a some sort of action, just for the moment of it. Or in fact, I even consider, and I look at the Flowers in the Woods work I have. I think this qualifies as impressionist because it's not exactly whole. It's a little bit out of focus, slightly, sort of. And I think that's the quality of it. You have people, again, the bag. If it wasn't such a nice bag, it wouldn't be. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get a new bag. But with the impressionists, you know, you hear people who they squint when they look at a painting. I didn't quite get that. I'm still not quite sure I get that. But okay, well, here's the comparison between the two: the squinting and the way I do this here. My lovely bag. This wasn't so important. I'd stop and start, but it's important. So you can squint, and that takes the focus out of it. It takes the apple in front of your eye and makes it more abstract. It takes the specific lines out, and now you have a out of focus view, so that it's up to your mind to fill in, you know, the reality of it. And I believe that fits pretty close into the way I see myself going forward with the art, as far as, you know, looking at something, studying something. We're heading to a little wooded spot now. I'm looking for a year when I finally begin to paint that. It's not going to be from pictures or looking at the studies. It's going to be from what I have in my mind after the year of viewing. How do I see that in my mind? And that's how it's going to be. And I'm not going to worry about specific exact values, as in, is the lighting exact? I don't even have a bag that stays on, so I have to worry about lighting. Is the lighting exact? Are all the shadows exact? Well, not interested. like zero interest in making sure all that is correct, because I just want to take part in the art. I want to be able to express not just, well, this is a horse, but this is the way my mind happens to see this horse, and if the tail is not as long as it's supposed to be or something, well, good. Because that keeps in like the fun, I think. Just, I get to play too. I get to bring my interpretation of, you know, what it is that I'm even painting, knowing now that little chance that another person will see the same thing that I, you know, yeah, I can title the painting anything I want, but the person's going to see what they want. It's tremendous and dramatic sometimes what people will see. So, where I see something else. So to study or not to study. Good to be familiar. I would say that. Good to be familiarize yourself with the different styles and what people have done in the past, and there's some tremendous things. I've taken it from personally, you know, finding the art, learning enough to see for myself that, you know, the lines are special. The initial lines are very special, and that magic moment when the lines first say what it is, to me, is a place to stop. You can certainly add color. So I have that plus perspective, but more of a distance perspective, like the distance between, you know, the edge of a cliff and 20 feet below, and how to achieve that with the fewest lines possible. And now that we have the idea of the magic lines and then the character lines around it, which, say, if you draw a stick figure, right, and then you add a few more lines inside and outside to enhance the original vintage lines, then you don't need the original lines, which means that these other character lines around the lines, like this again, help put it on the page a little better, on the paper, a little more presence. So if you don't need the original lines, then you're just drawing around. And I think that's something that's it. You know, not everyone is visual. Me, I'm a very visual person. I imagine most artists or painters have that. But I could see, like, I don't need necessarily to make the original lines to draw around. I can get an idea of what I wanted to put over there and not see it on the paper, but I get a close enough image of a shadowy, dreamy kind of image of the original vintage lines, and I could just kind of draw around that imagination. But that's fortunate. Most people will begin with, you know, a sketch, a very light sketch, knowing that they're probably going to paint over it. But it gives them, you know, just a basic foundation, and that's just groovy. So, ultimately, you have to take it, I think, wherever you see it. Study enough so that you can ask questions, answer your own questions,